The scenarios are either really good or intense right now. The really good is us casually moving up in price until the time we get to around 2029, which would then indicate the end of the next cycle. Prices would fall back down. We'd go through the same loop all over again. The extreme one over here is the one that like all the mega popular people in the crypto space keep talking about. That's the by 2029, $1 million Bitcoin, $27,000 Ether, 30-something XRP.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP are sending signals that could reshape the next crypto cycle. But the real question is whether investors are prepared for what comes next. The crypto market is approaching a critical moment, and investors are watching closely as major signals begin to emerge. According to the speaker, a growing number of market participants believe Bitcoin may have already reached its cycle bottom, creating a foundation for the next potential move higher. But the bigger question remains, is this the beginning of a new crypto rally? Attention is now shifting toward Ethereum, with expectations that a strong recovery could ignite the next altcoin season. If Ethereum gains momentum, it could open the door for major moves across the broader cryptocurrency market. Meanwhile, XRP has become one of the most debated assets in this cycle. The speaker highlights how Ripple's developments, institutional connections, and expanding payment ecosystem are creating a strong narrative around XRP's future potential. Reports of financial institutions exploring Ripple's technology have added further excitement among investors. The key message from the discussion is that long-term conviction often matters more than short-term price movements. Just like traditional assets such as real estate, investors focus on future value may view temporary market declines as opportunities rather than obstacles. With Bitcoin stability, Ethereum momentum, and XRP adoption stories gaining attention, the next phase of the crypto market could become one of the most closely watched periods in this cycle. The next major crypto move may already be forming, but the biggest question is whether investors will recognize the signals before the market takes off. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP's next move? Share your opinion in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more crypto market analysis and updates.
There are so many people who think that Bitcoin isn't going to go any lower. There are a lot of people who are expecting Ethereum to literally begin to move a lot higher, which could get us into an altcoin season. And the amount of people online talking about XRP has reached its cycle low and is about to do a 9 to 10x in price are pretty intense. As a long-term investor, I personally buy assets at any price. There isn't a thing in my head that says like, I don't want to get in at that entry point because I'm waiting for like a little bit lower. Because I know personally the assets that I'm buying and that I'm holding, I will have for 10, 15, 20 something years. If I want to buy real estate and I see that a place costs 250 and it goes up to 260, or if it goes down to 218 because of economic reasons, I'm not going to go, let's wait and see if it goes to 200. No, I'm scooping it up because I'm expecting in the future it's going to be worth $500,000. It's going to be worth 750. That's my philosophy anyway. There are a lot of people online who are announcing price predictions for XRP, where they think it's going to go. And I think that this is going to be, I think this is going to be one of the most fascinating parts of this cryptocurrency cycle, because everything is kind of set up for XRP to have greatness. I know that sounds cheesy. Everything that Ripple said they were going to do is coming true. All the banks that they say that they're actually working with. I don't think I also brought it here, but we also had news about banks in Japan who have like officially announced they're going to be using Ripple stablecoin, the RLUSD, and also putting other payment lines, which we also don't know about yet, but they said like, we're going to be using this chain. Everything has kind of set itself up for XRP to go well back above, and I dare say $4. It's kind of setting itself up for greatness. This analyst says he believes that XRP may not have only already reached its cycle low, but is getting ready for a
What if XRP's long-awaited breakout is not a distant possibility, but a cycle already beginning to unfold? New signals are forcing investors to rethink what comes next. Could XRP be preparing for one of the biggest moves of this crypto cycle? That is a question investors are asking, as new analysis suggests the token may have already reached its cycle bottom and could be entering a major recovery phase. The speaker highlights a data analyst's prediction that XRP could potentially move toward the $9 range if the overall cryptocurrency market continues its upward momentum. But what is driving this optimism? The answer comes down to adoption, utility, and institutional interest. Ripple's expanding ecosystem has become a major focus, with the speaker pointing out that real-world usage could matter more than hype-driven speculation. When companies announce their use of blockchain networks like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, XRP, and Solana, investors are receiving important signals about where adoption is heading. However, does this mean XRP is guaranteed to reach extreme price targets? The speaker suggests caution, explaining that larger moves would likely require a much bigger crypto market, including Bitcoin reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. As institutional participation increases and large-scale buying continues, the next crypto cycle could look very different. Will steady adoption create the foundation for XRP's next major breakout? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more crypto analysis.
He's a data analyst. He has said that it looks like as well that XRP has actually reached the bottom and is looking like it's going to rebound. The reason why this became very popular, he said in his view, the bottom has happened and it looks like during this cycle, XRP is targeting the $9 range currently. I personally think, and I will say this very nicely, I think that is a realistic number for XRP. I do think at some point, so let me be clear and honest. I think Ripple is doing what they said that they were going to do. And I think XRP is an asset that is being used and is going to succeed just because of the news that we've been getting. There have been many other coins that we haven't heard about that I've been telling you for years are probably not going to receive a lot of adoption. And this also goes to part of the news that we've been hearing from these companies who have explicitly said, we're using Ethereum, we're using Bitcoin, we're using Polygon, we're using XRP, we're using Solana. You got to listen to what they're saying because they're telling us explicitly. A lot of times, XRP price predictions, I think tend to get a little bit ahead of themselves. XRP has adoption, but the adoption is not as big as Ethereum, not as big as Bitcoin. It's more than Solana, it's more than Cardano, it's more than Tron. However, I think $9 is extremely realistic during a cycle where Bitcoin would go to $200,000 to $250,000. I'm making sure to step back from the $500,000 Bitcoin. I think we'll hit $500,750 2029. $1 million sounds wonderful, but also $500,000 feels more realistic than being like, yeah, a $1.95 million Bitcoin's coming in 2.5 months, like that kind of thing. Same exact thing with Ether. I think as much as I would love a $22,000 Ether, it feels more acceptable in realistic terms to have a $9, $10, $11, $12,000 Ethereum. That feels correct. XRP tends to get a lot of $28 price predictions, $33 price predictions. I think we will see those when we have a $700,000, $800,000 Bitcoin. These scenarios are either really good or intense right now. The really good is us casually moving up in price until the time we get to around 2029, which would then indicate the end of the next cycle. prices would fall back down. We'd go through the same loop all over again. The extreme one over here is the one that like all the mega popular people in the crypto space keep talking about. That's the by 2029, $1 million Bitcoin, $27,000 Ether, 30-something dollar XRP. I think it seems more believable right now, especially with institutions in the space. We'll probably see like a steady movement upward during this cycle, but also buying pressure is pretty intense right now. I stand by my words. I would assume that the buying pressure of nearly 2 million Bitcoin over the course of a 24-month period could have some pretty spectacular price movements ahead of it. You can't buy 2 million of something and not have like actual mega jumps in price.
The crypto market may be approaching a moment that could change the way investors view the next cycle. But the biggest question remains, are we witnessing the beginning of a new era driven by real adoption or just another wave of speculation? Bitcoin's growing institutional demand, XRP's expanding utility, and the increasing focus on blockchain adoption are creating a completely different market environment. Could this cycle be less about hype and more about which projects are building real-world value? As major investors continue accumulating digital assets and financial institutions explore blockchain solutions, the pressure between supply and demand is becoming impossible to ignore. Will Bitcoin lead the next major surge? Can XRP prove that adoption can translate into long-term growth? The coming years could reveal which cryptocurrencies have the strongest foundations. The next big move may not be defined by predictions alone, but by technology, demand, and the ability to deliver real financial solutions. The next few years could decide which cryptocurrencies become the true winners of this cycle. But what do you believe? Will XRP and Bitcoin reach new heights? Or is the market preparing another surprise? Comment your thoughts, share this video, and subscribe for more crypto analysis.